Notes 3.3 are on finding equations of lines, and the most important thing you need to know is the slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b, where the m is the slope and the b is the y-intercept. All right, nothing is new here. So let's look at question number 1. It says find the equation of a line that has a slope of -5 and a y-intercept of 7. So what we're going to do is we're just always going to fill in what we know. So we know the slope, it's -5. We know the y-intercept, it's 7. So I have all my information I need to know. So my equation is y equals -5x plus 7. Okay? Now, if you look at question number 2, however, it's a little bit different. It says find the equation of a line that has a slope of 7 and passes through the point 3,8 using slope-intercept form. So I know the slope is 7, but it doesn't tell me what the y-intercept is. That's unknown. So I have to figure out what the y-intercept actually is. Now, before I do that, a lot of people will think the y-intercept is 8 because it's the y value here. But if you were to look at it on a graph, if you go to 3,8, it would be right here. The y-intercept has to be on the y-axis. So that does not make sense to be our y-intercept. Okay, so I'm going to use algebra to figure out my answer. Well, I know the equation of a line is y equals mx plus b. I know what the slope is. It's 7. So I'm going to say y equals 7x plus b. I don't know what the b is, so I can't fill it in. Now, right here, I know that x is 3 and y is 8. This is one point of infinite points on the line. It doesn't matter what point I use, as long as it's on the line, I can plug in my information. So I'm going to plug it in. I know that y is 8, all right, and I know the slope is 7. I know that x is 3, so I'm going to do 7 times 3, and then plus b. Now I have an equation with one variable. I can solve my equation, and then I'll be done. So 8 equals 21 plus b. Subtract 21 from both sides, you get -13 equals b. So b is no longer a mystery. I know that b is -13. So I know that my final equation is going to be y equals 7x minus 13. Now, I want you guys to notice something. I'm going to graph it out, and we are going to see what happens when we graph it out. So I'm going to go to plot new function, type in my equation. The equation was y equals 7x minus 13, okay? Press enter. Here's my graph. My y-intercept is at -13. Now I know it has to go through the point 3,8. So if I go to the right 3, 1, 2, 3, and up 8, you'll see that it crosses through this point. So I know it's the right equation. All right. I would like you to please try question number 3 on your own. Please press pause and then come back to me when you're ready to go. All right, I will walk you through this quickly. If you need to press pause and get this information figured out, please make sure that you do so. You have to be honest with yourselves. You got to make sure you understand what's going on. So in this problem, I knew what the slope was. It was 2/3, but I did not know what the y-intercept was at first, so I put a question mark. So then I use the equation y equals mx plus b. I know what the slope is, so I fill in 2/3 for my slope. Now I know that x is 12 and y is 3. So I'm going to put 3 equals 2/3 times 12. I'm just going to replace my information plus b. Now I have one variable to solve for. 2/3 of 12 is 8. So you get 3 equals 8 plus b. Subtract the 8 from both sides, you get -5. Now b is no longer a mystery. It's -5. So your equation is y equals 2/3 x minus 5. All right? So now let's look at number 4. Number 4 is tricky. Find the equation of a line that passes through the points 6, 1, and 7, -4 using the slope-intercept form. So to use the slope-intercept form, the equation is y equals mx plus b. I need to know what the m is, and I need to know what the b is. In this problem, I don't know either piece of information, but I do know that it's going to pass through these two specific points, and I have a formula that I can use to help me figure out what the slope is. Remember, the formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, right? So you end up getting -4 minus 1 over 7 minus 6. So this turns into -5 over 1, which is -5. Now the slope is no longer a mystery. I know the slope is -5. Now all I have to do is figure out what the y-intercept is. So I'm going to say y equals -5x plus b. And then I plug in my points, but I have 2 points. I have 6, 1, and I also have 7, negative 4. Guess what? As long as it's going through one of these 2 points, you can use either point you want, because remember, these are just a couple of infinite points on the line. So you can choose to use 6, 1 or 7, negative 4, but you can't mix and match. So if you use 6, you have to use 1. If you use 7, you have to use negative 4. All right, so I'm going to use 6, 1 and see what happens. So I'm going to say y equals, I'm going to use 1 equals negative 5 times 6 plus b. So you get 1 equals negative 30 plus b. Remember, the 6 was the x and the 1 was the y. And then add 30 to both sides, you get 31 equals b. So that is no longer a mystery. I know what b is. So I get y equals negative 5x plus 31. Okay, but I want to show you what would happen if I were to use the other point. So the other point, let's fill this in again, negative 5x plus b. The other point is 7, negative 4. So when I plug in negative 4 in for my y value and 7 in for my x value, let's see what happens. So you get negative 4 equals negative 35 plus b. Add 35 to both sides, you end up getting 31 equals b. Regardless of how you do it, you get the same answer. Now, this graph was going to be so that we could graph out our line, but obviously we don't have room to start at 31. So I'm going to show you the equation on my program. So we're going to switch this to negative 5x plus 31. So let's go all the way up. Normally, if you were to graph this out on your paper, you would start at 31 and then you would go down 5 and over 1, right? Down 5 and over 1. Now we know that the points should go through 6, 1, and 7, negative 4. So when you're done, you need to check to see, did it really go through 6, 1? So let's see. Here's 6, here's 1. It definitely went through it. And then let's go to 7, negative 4. So 7 and then down 4, it goes through that point as well. So we know for sure it's the right equation. Number 5 we already discussed in class, so let's talk about number 6. An equation of a line is 2y equals 6 minus 3x. Write an equation of a line parallel to this given line that has a y-intercept of 6. So in order to do this, I have to figure out what my m is, and I have to figure out what my b is, okay? Now the m and the b, this is for the original line. A lot of people will get the original line mixed up with the new line. So the new line, we've got m parallel and we've got b parallel. So this is the line, this is the slope of the parallel line and the y-intercept of the parallel line. So let's find out what y is when you isolate it. So I get 2y equals 6 minus 3x. In order to isolate the y, I would divide everything by 2. So I would get y equals 3 minus 3 halves x. Okay, now I know what the slope is of my original line. Remember, this is still your original line. So the slope of my original line is negative 3 halves, and the y-intercept of my original line is 3. Okay, now I want to figure out what is the slope of my new line. Well, the slope of my new line has to be equal to the slope of my original line, because parallel lines have the same slope. And then it tells you that the parallel line has a y-intercept of 6, so I know what the b is in that example. So I know what my original line's equation was. Now I'm going to write out my new parallel line, okay? And remember, this symbol means parallel. So my new parallel line is y equals negative 3 over 2x plus 6. Okay? All right, let's take a look at the next question. Write an equation of a line that passes through 5, 8, and negative 9, 8. So I'm going to figure out the slope, right? I need to know what the slope is, and I need to know what the y-intercept is. So to figure out the slope, I would just use y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I would do 8 minus 8 over negative 9 minus 5. I end up getting 0 over negative 14, which ends up being 0. So now, this is no longer a mystery. I say y equals 0x plus b. I can use either equation, or sorry, either coordinate I want. I'll use the first one. So I'll plug in 8, and I'll plug in 5. So I get 8 equals 0 plus b, which means that 8 equals b. Okay, so this right here is 8. So that means my equation is y equals 0x plus 8. But 0x just doesn't even need to be written down, so we really would just say y equals 8. Now, here's what you have to understand in this specific question or any question where the line has a slope of 0. Once you get to this point, you should automatically know that this is a horizontal line because the slope is 0. Now, any horizontal line will look like this, right? So if your graph looks like this, any one of these lines is considered a horizontal line, and any one of these lines has a slope of 0. But the most important thing that you need to know for this one, you don't even have to do all of this workout. All you have to do is think, where are my points? Well, I have 5, 8, so I'd go to the right 5 and up 8. So here's 5, 8, and here's negative 9, 8. I would go to the left 9 and up 8. So here are my 2 points. When I connect them, there's my parallel line. Now, the parallel line does not go through the x-axis at all. It only goes through the y-axis. What point does it go through the y-axis at? It goes through the y-axis at 8 because this value here is 8, this value here is 8. Every single y value on this line is 8. So the equation of the line is that y will always equal 8. Okay? All right, keep that in mind for the next question. Number 8, write an equation of the line that passes through negative 7, 1 and negative 7, 5. So I need to figure out what the slope is, and I need to figure out what the y-intercept is. Both are mysteries to me. So let's figure out the slope. N equals 5 minus 1 over negative 7 minus negative 7. So I end up getting 4 over 0. And remember, you can never divide any number by 0, so this will be undefined. Okay, now since this is undefined, I don't have a slope. There is no slope. So this cannot work at all. Y equals mx plus b will work for every single line except for a line that has an undefined slope. So the question is, what kind of a line has an undefined slope? Remember, we already learned that every vertical line has an undefined slope. So y equals mx plus b does not apply to any vertical lines. So how do I find the equation of this line if I can't do y equals mx plus b? Think back to what we did in the previous example. Let's graph out approximately where these points are. So negative 7, 1 is to the left 7 and up 1. So here's negative 7, 1. Okay. And then negative 7, 5 is to the left 7 and up 5. So I'm going to put a dot right here. When I connect them, I end up getting my vertical line. And this time, it never crosses the y-axis. It only crosses the x-axis. Remember in the previous example right here, your graph only crossed the y-axis, and it crossed the y-axis at the number 8 right here. So y equals 8. So in this example, hopefully you can figure out right here that this only crosses the x-axis, and it crosses the x-axis at negative 7. So the equation of my line is x equals negative 7. All right, you guys, 2 more questions and then we'll be done. Question number 9, write an equation of the line that passes through 5, 1 and is parallel to the y-axis. You can't really show any workout for this. The best way for this type of a question is to just graph out a sketch of it. So we know that it's going to go through the point 5, 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, just like this. Okay, and we also know that it's going to be parallel to the y-axis. Well, here's my y-axis right here. So a line that's parallel to it will be another vertical line. So since this is a vertical line right here, the equation of every vertical line will always start off with x equals because it crosses the x-axis. And every single x-coordinate is the same number no matter where it is on the line. What is that number? 5. So x equals 5. Okay? Number 10, write an equation of a line that passes through 4, negative 8 and is parallel to the x-axis. So again, I'm going to draw a sketch of this so I can kind of see what it looks like. Here's my x-axis, here's my y-axis. I know it has to go through 4, negative 8, so I go to the right 4 and down 8. And then I put a dot right here. This time it says that it has to be parallel to the x-axis. Here's my x-axis right here. Where is it? Right here is my x-axis. So it has to be another horizontal line, just like the x-axis is. Well, every single y value is the same on this line right here. What is that y value? It's negative 8. So y equals negative 8.